man is an island, and I love the saying, iron sharpens iron, and that is why we are here today. Welcome to another exciting episode of Real Talk. Today with me on the program, I have Nikki Omonira to my right.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And I have Bimbola Olaleye to my left. You're also very welcome.
Thanks for having me.
How would you deal with a woman who earns more money than you do? Without putting words in your mouth, how would you feel?
I'm gonna get chastised with this, but you know what? I'm gonna love her with all my life.
We're just wired differently. What a man think is strategic to the point. Women have different aspects. They have more sensory nerves.
We're going to be talking about one of the very important topics in marriage, which is sex. And from statistics, a lot of marriages have been broken due to the discrepancies about sex. There are some things we don't get right about sex, even though people have different interpretation of what sex should be. Sometimes it's just a touch, sometimes it's more intimate. But here with me on the program, I have my beautiful sisters who are going to help shed some light, and at the same time we don't always have answers to everything, but we hope we're able to touch one or two areas of some dying needs that you may be going through right now. Who should initiate sex in a marriage? Is it the man? Is it the woman? And why?
And why? Well, personally, I feel it should be both. It should be whoever's having the urge at that time. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be something that is just left for the men to do. The men are always like the fishers, and sometimes they want to be fished too. Sometimes it's an esteem like thing. That. Think about how it makes you feel as a woman when your husband wants you. Mm-hmm. He's making that gesture at you, mm-hmm. the moves. He doesn't even have to say the word. Yeah. And what does it do to you? It just increases some kind of self-esteem in you, like, oh my gosh, he wants me, Now, it might not be that you're in the mood at that time, but just the fact that you know that somebody wants you. And again, I don't think that our men should be left out of that feeling. They should know that they have a wife at home that wants them. And it's a stress reliever. So I think it's a gesture that both men and women, it's not the job of a man alone. So that's my feeling on that.
Nikki, how do you answer that question? Who should initiate sex first?
I actually agree with my sister Stella. Yeah, both husband and wife should initiate sex. Whoever is in the mood, whoever is in the mood to flirt, should go ahead and do it. The marriage bed, the Bible said the marriage bed is undefiled. It should be a place where there is freedom to express one's desires, because that is really the only place you should be expressing your desires anyway. And Solomon even said it, that let the breast of the wife of your youth, let it satisfy you. Right. So we're there to love on one another and to satisfy one another. The wife should be free enough to let the husband know when she's in the mood. But we've been taught, women are to be conservative and we're not to ask for sex, and it's not womanlike, it's not ladylike, it's not portraying it, a godly woman.
We cannot deny the fact that a lot of us women, we have our reservations. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is, Nikki?
Well, there's a huge broad spectrum of why. First of all, like I said, it could be cultural, something that we have been taught. It could even be religious, because even in Christendom, how many times do you even hear that word sex? Okay, not so much even preached on the pulpit. Forget that. That's not happening. How many times do the women in the church ever pull a young engaged lady to the side and talk to her about how to satisfy her husband or how to approach her husband? So that's one way. One reason. Another reason would be the woman's comfort level. She hasn't learned to do that. Like I said, we've not been taught, we've not been told that we could. So now you're in a marriage relationship, you're having sex with your husband, you have your own needs. So now you don't even know how to express that. So that's another reason. And of course, there's just a mirror. There's life, hurts, just feeling tired.
Why do you think women are reserved, Bimbola?
Well, I think that women our wanting sex or initiating sex is tied to our emotions. We're very emotional compared to our men.
Right.
And if we feel like we're upset about something, or our day has not gone well, or we have just too much on our plate to juggle, managing stress, we try not to initiate it because we feel like it's a task. On the other side, men feel like it's a stress reliever. They want to come home and have sex and just go to sleep. Sometimes we'll say, oh, he's just done it and he went to sleep. Why? That's why. They feel like it's a stress reliever for them.
I hear both of you talk about, culture. In our culture, I'm not sure if I know of any parent who actually lectures their children, apart from the sex education that we talk about. I don't know if there is any one parent out there who would say, this is how you do it. This is what you should expect. Is that something you think we parents of nowadays should engage in talking to our children about? I'm not just talking about sex education, your body changes, and then puberty and all that. I'm talking about getting really sexual with our children. And at what age can we do that?
Well, I would say that if you have a daughter that's just gotten married, I think that would be an appropriate time. Planning, maybe they're engaged, if they're getting into their marital life, that'd be a time to coach them and say, look, daughter, it's not going to be rosy. You're not going to want it all the time. And your husband is going to need it. Now, you have to put yourself in an environment and a mindset where you can at least initiate it. And, I pray about it. There are times that my husband wants it, and I'm like, I am not in the mood, and I don't want to deny the guy. I just close my eyes. Sometimes we feel like talking to God. Sometimes we feel like it's a thing of, carrying the Bible and reading scripture all the time. Just talk to him. I talk to him. I say, Father, take control, because I'm not in the mood, and and you know what? It helps. Prayer works, and it's not something just because we're talking about sex that we can't pray about sex.
That's right.
If God is your father and you believe in him and you trust him in all things, and they say through God all things are possible, and trust your sexual life onto him also, and talk to him about it. And I talk to God about it, and he helps me most of the time. So I think that when you have a daughter, of course, definitely it's not in their teenage life. You don't want to start telling them, it's okay to have sex and have it all the time and initiate it. But at least when they're engaged and that they're about to get married, and before their wedding night, these are topics that I think a mom should talk to their daughter about, so that you don't have some of those misconceptions when you go into your married life.
Nikki, I this is really a biggie for me, because even some parents don't have that talk at all with their children. And as a parent of a new era, I think it is very important for us to be able to tell our children, not just the not just the sex education they learn in school, or when you're going to start having your period. I'm talking about how to be intimate. How do you give yourself to your husband?
I think everything starts from the very beginning of teaching our children what is sex in the first place. They see it everywhere. You can hardly watch. I mean, we were watching the Swan Princess the other day, and the prince and the princess were all smooshing.
I know.
I mean, this is Swan Princess. Swan is all on Disney. So they see it, they get it. So what do we need to do? Definitely we need to come in and we need to teach them, and begin to teach them the biblical perspective of what sex really is all about. What does it really mean? What are these why do we even do it in the first place? What does it mean to give yourself to somebody? What if you do it outside marriage, what are the consequences? What, not just you're going to get pregnant. Okay, well, we already know that. That's a given. But what are the consequences to your heart, to your soul, to your person, to your mind, to even your own self-esteem? What will that do to you? So I mean, those are things that we need to start sharing with our daughters. I believe, we have an 11-year-old, and I'm beginning to talk to her about certain things regarding that. So you need to introduce it stage by stage, and like my sister said, yes, when they're about to get married, then they're engaged, now you can go deep. Okay, because they're ready for deep. But at different stages, those are topics that you need to revisit at different stages and share with them. Absolutely.
And I also think it's not just peculiar to our daughters, our sons as well, because a lady walks into the room, she wants to give it to me free. What do I say? Do I accept it? Do I say, what, no, this is not something I can, sex is not something I can do, right now I'm not married, so I think it goes well with our sons too, and just not throw them in front of the boss and let them figure things out themselves.
There's nothing wrong in calling your husband baby outside. There's nothing wrong French kissing your husband outside. It's yours. It's your property. You own him. I'd rather have a man hold me, kiss me, even in public, because it's mine.
There are some people that I've heard, oh my goodness, he's so nice, he buys chocolate, he buys flowers before you get to your desk, something, a note is sitting out there. But can you show me that part of passion to follow?
And from the part of the country that we come from, we're not brought up to show affection. We're brought up in a very rigid environment, and showing affection is a sign of weakness for the man.
If we allow the man to initiate sex all the time, what are the dangers behind that?
Most of the time, men like sex. I'm sure statistics will show they like it, enjoy it more than we do. But I think it does something for their self-esteem. When you see a happy man, a happy man is, and it's not happy because everything is rosy, but it's just sex does something. There's a reason why God created sex and embedded it in a marriage life. And I think that if we leave the task to them all the time, it just doesn't tell them that someone cares for them. It doesn't tell them that somebody wants them. Imagine if you walk around your house with a beautiful lingerie or pum-pum shorts or whatever it is that you do at home, and your husband passes by you and doesn't make any comment, doesn't make any gesture, even if you're not wanting sex, even if you're not wanting it, but he doesn't make any comments towards that. Imagine how that would make you feel. That may make you feel like, oh, did he not just notice me? Or am I not beautiful anymore? Does my body not attract him anymore? It's kind of like in a reverse side. That's what we're doing to our men. He doesn't have to put on the pum-pum shorts or the lingerie. Just pat him in the butt once in a while. I said, honey, you look good. How about tonight? Tonight. Just make them feel. It does something good for their self-esteem, their emotions. They just feel wanted, and they'll go out there and accomplish a lot of things that you don't think they can accomplish just because they know they have a woman in the house that loves them and wants them. And even if you're not going to fess up and do the sex thing later, you might punk out later, but just encourage them, boost them up a little bit. Because we all know we punk out sometimes. We women, we don't walk the walk that we talk. Yeah. But at least just encourage them a little bit. And when that time comes, man, they will give it to you all because they know you want them.
So let it not be that it's your husband that is initiating sex all the time. It is okay for you to initiate sex. Don't be shy, because a lot of us are shy, even in our own bedrooms. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, and if you allow me, another thing is sometimes when I go out there and another woman that gets the concept, start winking at them.
That's right.
She likes that at all. Yeah. Exactly. And sometimes, the devil is very crafty, and that's how sometimes devil comes in and messes people's marriages. But if you show your husband that at home, when somebody else goes, he's like, what's wrong with her eyes? Yeah. Because my wife does that to me at home all the time, and actually my wife does it better. Yeah. She has a hump to it.
Yeah.
Answering the same question, how would you approach that?
Wow. Men are made to hunt. They're hunters.
They're hunters. They
love the chase. So like she was saying, sometimes you don't have to go all the way to have sex, but it's just flirting. Flirt in your marriage. Dress up, wear something sexy sometimes. Touch is also a very good thing. Touch him, like you were saying, smack on the butt, or just go give a hug from behind, for no good reason. Things like that will just really kind of help him to help you and help him, both of you, to just be more intimate. And once there's intimacy, sex really is a result of intimacy, especially for us women. When you're intimate with your husband, when you've had talk time, when you've had touch time, non-sexual touch time, your heart begins to open up more to him, and that intimacy just builds, and it's easier for you to flow into the actual sex.
You're so right. I think it's so true. Letting the man do the initiation, I think they will get burned out and they will not feel appreciated. And he's not coming to me, I'm not going to go to him, and then you go without sex for months.
So you're thinking,
come on,
it's Wednesday, what's wrong with
him today?
By this time we're already done too.
So it's really okay to initiate sex with your husband. Don't be shy. The Bible says that you do not have control over your body. He does not have control over your body, but he does have control over your body, and you vice versa has control over his body. So it's okay to initiate sex, you know. And, you know, that was going to be my next question. What are some of those things that we can do to actually spice it up with women? You know, flirt with him, like they said, you know, like just go out, dress up, get a makeup artist to give you the bomb, you know, look good. Because here, men see these women outside and they want, I mean, they wish, I wish my wife could look like that. You know, you've gone to work all day, you've gone to pick up the kids, gone to the grocery store, and you get home, you have to probably make dinner and feed the baby of the family before you end up sitting down to have something to eat. And I have been there, done that. It's time for me to actually now eat. And I'm snoring, I am tired. You want me to have sex at that time?
No, it's not.
You'll have to work on me. You know, what are some of those soft spots that, you know, they can actually work on to get us in the mood? I'll ask you that, Nikki.
Well, a couple of things. One thing that could make the woman a little bit more comfortable is find a name for it. Okay, I'm going to give you a little secret. My husband and I have a name for it, okay? We don't call it sex. We don't call it wanna do. We don't call it anything. I mean, we could be in the midst of people and we're flirting and nobody knows. I'm telling you, we do it with our kids. I'll be like, we'll say the name and I'll be like, and we're just going back and forth. And, you know, just the play, just having play, foreplay, and just teasing. We find that just having a name for it really makes it so much fun. You know, that's one thing for sure. Another thing is, when you go in as a woman, our minds, you know, like you were saying, you have kids, you have job, you have all this responsibility, and what happens? Our mind is not like a man's mind that is in boxes. He can switch. He can shut off work and, like you say, jump into sex, and that's all right. But for us, while we're in bed, while we're in bed, we're thinking of the kids, we're thinking of bills, we're thinking of food, we're thinking of everything else. What we need to do as women, we have to train our minds to shut those things out and have a mind to enjoy yourself. Go in expecting that it's going to be fun. He's going to enjoy himself, you enjoy yourself. And I think that a lot of times when we see it not as a chore, but when we see lovemaking as something that is fun to do, is something that, you know, you're going to enjoy yourself, you're willing to try new things, you know, it's an adventure, and it makes it fun.
Is it okay to tell your husband, Bimbola, you know, what to touch, you know, when you're not in the mood, that can you really spike things up?
Definitely. Now, I know, though, that it's kind of harder for most women to feel like their husband can touch them without actually going down there and getting it done and getting it done. And some of us, that's all we feel like we need sometimes. We just want them to touch us. We want us to caress us. You know, we want to feel loved, want them to play with our different parts of our body. So, yes, it is okay to educate your man and let them know, honey, please, I just want to back rub today. Just please massage my feet, you know, just hug me. You know, I don't want the sex, then just hug me. But, of course, you know, at least from my experience, most of the time, 90% of the time, it's ended up with that. So, but it's okay. And I think if there's any man listening, I think this is a good point for you guys. Start to train your women on your points too, some of the body parts that you would like for them to play with. Because sometimes, because we women, we don't do it. And so our men don't do it because they don't know that we value that. And so they just go for the real deal. They go for the sex thing. And because we've not been intimate with them, so I think if we practice that, if we, you know, the back rub, the feet rubbing, and the hugging, if we do most of that and say, honey, I just want to hug you today, I just want to, you know, touch you, I just want to massage your back or massage your feet, and all, you know what your man deal is. And I think that they will start showing that because now they know that that's important to you. But we don't do it, and then we expect them to do it before the sex. So I think it's key for both sides to know that. And I'll say, women, exercise. Because when you exercise, it actually puts your body into a mode where you're ready for it all the time. It relaxes your mind. You're not so stressed. A lot of the reason why women don't want to have sex after a long day of work is because of the stress, and you're trying to balance that, you know.
If you allow me, one of the things that I want to share that could probably help, that would help husbands a lot. When your wife comes at the end of the day with everything we've listed that we all go through, A husband that shows his wife that he understands, that shows compassion, that shows patience, that shows long suffering, believe me, will get a whole lot more at the very end of the day. So if your wife is coming home, if it means you need to help her a little bit, you know, if you have a baby and the baby needs to go to bed, if you can help your wife put the baby to bed while she relaxes and kind of gets herself, you know, a little bit ready. That's one thing. Maybe even if it's putting, you know, some food on the stove, feeding the little people, you know, that you have, or you know, maybe letting her go get a nap early in the evening so that you can handle and put the kids to bed, so that by the time you're ready to get to bed, she's had a short nap, she's refreshed, and she's ready to go.
You know, I truly agree with you, and I need to share my husband here in, you know, a little bit. Like you rightly said, there are times you have to go ahead and help prep things before she gets back from work, and that's one thing he does for me. He will give me a call. What are we cooking for dinner? And I'll say, honey, what would you like to have for dinner? And he probably initiates or not, but then I'll say, okay, there is this here, there is this here, would you get that out of the freezer? Can you make the kids do this for me?
Yeah.
But when I get home, I'm like, well, he's done this.
Yes.
There are times he goes to the store, get me meat, and before I get home, he's bought it.
Yes.
Knowing that I'm going to have to cook when I get home,
Yeah.
he makes it easier for me. And I think that will put any woman
Definitely.
in the mood.
Definitely.
What are your final words, Bimbola, to someone watching us right now?
I would just like to encourage a lot of women out there. Definitely do not make it the men thing, the husband thing. Try to find your own little ways. Do a little bit of research. Understand you, what your body is, what moves you, and try to work it on your husband. You know, try to find his soft spots. It does something for their self-esteem, definitely. I know that. Don't reject them. You know, we all have to learn how to balance work life and children and career and all that we got going on, you know. Women were known to juggle a lot of things, and sometimes juggling can affect our marital life and our sexual life and our moods, you know. So we have to learn as women to balance things out, and again, exercise, and start finding little ways that you can encourage your husband to pump him up a little bit, smack him in the back, smack him on the side, pull his pants, do whatever you have to do. Let him know that you want him, and it's not that he wants you all the time, because there are women out there that are going to make passes at him, and you want to give him in that comfort zone that, you know what, my wife is better than that.
That's right.
Girl, what are you doing? Why are you looking at me like that?
Please look. Oh my goodness, Nikki, how do you know, your final words to someone watching tonight?
Yeah. Well, I would say, as a lady, it's okay to steam things up in the marriage bed. It's okay. It's okay to flirt with your husband. It's okay to caress his head and, you know, and just walk by. You know, it's okay to just touch his face and just walk by. And like Stella said, it really does help his self-esteem. He is more content, and you're more content. And if you're having a lot of issues in your marriage and just a lot of problems, and you just don't feel intimate with your husband, try to make the first step. Take the first step and show some interest in him sexually. You know, and you'll be surprised. He will definitely arouse to the situation. I promise you.
Thank you both for coming to the show. I'm sure someone has been blessed. Here are my final words. Don't let your emotion deprive your husband. Do not let it deprive him of sex. You have to be able to balance both. For me, here is what works. What works for me may not work for you. Run the bubble bath. Light candle all over the house. Make him comfortable when he comes in. And then you show him the way in there. And, you know, you never know where that will take you. So next time will come your way. It's bye for now.